right now, at this very moment, your body is doing something no other animal's body can do. It's extracting energy from cooked food with an efficiency that would astound any creature on Earth. But here's the thing, your body wasn't always built this way. And the moment humans figured out fire, everything changed. 2 million years ago, your ancestors were not special. They had smaller brains than you do now. They could barely hunt. They lived in constant danger, always hungry, always weak. But then something happened that archaeologists have been arguing about for decades. Someone, we'll probably never know who, put raw meat near a fire. And everything that came next, everything that made you human, started right there. The story most people tell is simple. Fire made food taste better. Humans got excited. The end. But the real answer is far stranger. Fire didn't just make food taste better. It completely rewired what it meant to be human at the cellular level. When you eat raw meat, your stomach has to work incredibly hard. It spends energy breaking down tough muscle fibers. It spends time digesting. Your gut has to be massive to handle all that raw material. Now imagine instead that you cook that same meat. The heat does the hard work for you. The proteins denature, the fibers soften. Your stomach barely has to work. Your intestines absorb the calories faster. Suddenly, you're getting more energy from the same amount of food. This matters because energy is everything. Your brain is the most expensive organ in your body. It uses about 20% of all the calories you consume, even though it's only 2% of your body weight. If your ancestors ate raw food, they couldn't afford to grow bigger brains. They didn't have enough energy left over. But cooked food? Cooked food freed up an enormous amount of metabolic budget. Richard Wrangham is a primatologist at Harvard who has spent his entire career studying this exact question. He proposed something called the cooking hypothesis. His research shows that the moment humans started cooking, their gut size shrank. At the same time, their brain size exploded. For the first time in primate history, the trade-off flipped. You could have a bigger brain and a smaller gut. You could think more and digest less. And once your brain got bigger, everything became possible. A bigger brain means better language, better memory, better planning, better the ability to imagine things that don't exist yet. Raw food eating humans could never have invented agriculture. They could never have built cities. They could never have written symphonies or gone to the moon. All of that required the cognitive surplus that cooking gave them. But here's what makes this even stranger. Cooking didn't just change your ancestors' bodies. It changed their social lives in ways that are still echoing through your life today. When you cook, you have to gather around something. A fire, a hearth, a table. Raw food eating requires no gathering. A chimpanzee grabs fruit and eats alone. A hunter-gatherer gathers around the fire. And suddenly you have meals. You have ritual. You have conversation. You have the chance to teach your children stories and rules and how to think. This is why anthropologists like Susanna Herculano-Hosel have found that cooking created the first truly human communities. Around a fire, social bonds deepened. Hierarchies emerged. Status could be displayed through the food you cooked. Mothers could teach daughters secrets. Elders could pass down knowledge. The fire became the center of what it means to be human. It still is. Think about it. Thousands of years later, humans still gather around fire. We call it the fireplace, the campfire, the restaurant, the family dinner table. We haven't actually stopped gathering around the fire. We've just gotten better at it. Now here's the twist. Your body adapted so completely to cooked food that raw food actually makes you sick sometimes. Your stomach is smaller than a chimpanzee's. Your gut bacteria are different. You can't digest tough, raw plant matter the way other apes can. You've become completely dependent on cooking. And in a way, cooking has become dependent on you. No other animal cooks. No other animal needs to cook. You are the only species on Earth that has surrendered your survival to fire. This creates a strange vulnerability. If you were dropped in the wilderness right now, you wouldn't know how to survive. You couldn't eat raw meat properly. You couldn't digest it. Your stomach would hurt. You'd get sick. You'd starve, surrounded by food that your ancestors could have thrived on. In one way, cooking made humans more powerful. In another way, it made you fragile. It tied you to technology. It made you dependent on something outside your body. And that dependency has only grown. Cooking led to agriculture, which led to permanent settlements, which led to civilization, which led to factories that process and cook food for you. Your life is now completely shaped by cooked food and the social structures cooking created. You wake up and eat breakfast that was cooked by machines. You go to work. A concept that only exists because of agriculture, which only exists because of cooking. You come home and cook dinner, repeating the exact ritual your ancestors invented 2 million years ago. You gather around the table with people you love and share food and stories. The archaeologist Barkai has discovered something remarkable. He found that humans started using fire intentionally around 790,000 years ago, based on the pattern of burned bones at ancient sites. But some evidence suggests it could have been earlier, much earlier. What's clear is that once humans had fire, they never let it go. And that single discovery, that single technology, that single moment when someone put raw food near heat and saw what happened next, changed the trajectory of your entire species. Here's what's beautiful about all this. You are not the product of bigger muscles. You are not the product of sharper teeth or faster legs. You're the product of a decision to transform raw material using technology. You're the product of choosing the harder path in the moment, gathering fire, controlling it, cooking, so that you could have the easier path later. You're the product of sitting around a fire with other humans and sharing a meal. And that act, that simple act that you do hundreds of times every year, is coded into your DNA. It's in the size of your gut. It's in the structure of your brain. It's in the way you instinctively want to gather people around food and tell them stories. When you cook, you're not just making a meal. You're repeating the gesture that made humans human. You're reliving the moment when your ancestors gave themselves over to fire, and fire gave them everything in return. So tonight, when the sun goes down and you flip a switch or light a stove, remember that fire. Remember that the meal you're about to cook is not just fuel. It's an echo of the most important discovery your species ever made. It's the reason your brain is big enough to understand this story. It's the reason you're sitting here with other humans, gathering around heat and light, sharing food and words. Fire made you human, and you're still gathering around it, trying to stay warm.